Hi everyone, good evening. How are you all doing? So I hope everyone is doing great. Let's start with this session. A little bit information about myself. My name is Rythum. I'm a CFA. I'm an independent stock market expert, a finance and investment trainer, and a corporate trainer and a YouTuber with the name of the channel name is Max Backers. You can check it out if you're interested in stock market and finance. So this was about me, and I would also like to talk about one of our batches which is ongoing on Unacademy, which are going to be very useful to you if you are preparing for your CA foundation. So let me share the details of that batch with you, and then of course we'll be talking about demand, the various concepts related to demand, the law of demand, elasticity of demand, forecasting of demand, and everything. So in 1 hour we'll be covering the whole concepts of demand. All right, so wish you all the very best for your exams, and in case you have any suggestions regarding any topic you want me to cover on YouTube, then you can definitely let me know in the comment section and I will try to cover it up. Okay, so I am talking about this batch, which is an exclusive live batch with the top educators on Unacademy. It's for May 21st attempt. The batch name is Yodha batch, and there are very good faculties out there in this batch. And what all benefits you're going to get? You're going to get 1,000 plus hours of content and a dedicated doubt clearing session, one subscription, all educators, all subjects, and the unlimited video views are going to be there, and live interaction feature is also there, and you're going to also have weekly quizzes and concept testing, right? And it is going to start on the 22nd of December. So what are you waiting? Subscribe for it today. And this is just a little bit information regarding how you can get the subscription. You simply need to click on this enrollment link, and we have provided this enrollment link in the description box as well, so you can check it out, and you can just click on the link and it is going to take you to the relevant page, and you can browse through all the batches, and you can choose the Yodha batch from there, and you're going to get the subscription. And there are various subscription plans. As you know, a 1 month plan is just 3,500 rupees, and for 3 months you're going to get a discount, and the plan is going to be for 8,750 rupees. For 6 months it is going to be 14,000. For 12 months it is going to be 17,500, and for 24 months it is going to be 21,000. So you just need to select the plan, make the payment, and you're good to go, starting with this 100% English batch. And so these are a few educators. You can check them on Unacademy. And good evening, Abhirami. I hope I have pronounced your name fine. So these are the educators for various subjects, and you can check them out. And I think, yeah, that's enough information for you. Wish you all the very best. The batch is starting on 22nd of December at 7 p.m. and the link is in the description, so you can definitely check it out. The very best. So after my intro and this batch intro, let's begin the demand chapter. So it's a very interesting chapter, and whenever we are talking about microeconomics, it cannot be the case that we are not talking about demand, right? As demand and supply are the two very own pillars of microeconomics, right? So whenever we talk about microeconomics, which is the economics deals at the micro level, at the individual level, like if we're talking in terms of one person, we're talking in terms of one firm, one industry, one factory, it is going to be a microeconomic study. And whenever we are talking about microeconomic study, we are definitely going to talk about the demand and the supply, which are the two pillars of this whole concept. In fact, for that matter, even if we go at the macroeconomic level, we are going to be having aggregate demand and aggregate supply thing. Okay, so economics cannot exist without talking about demand and supply. So we'll be talking about one such pillar, such important pillar of economics, that is demand, right? So first and foremost is to understand the meaning of demand. Demand is basically the quantity of goods and services that we are willing and able to purchase at the various prices during a given period of time. Now, the important point is that the willingness has to be there. We are willing to purchase something. Second, the ability to purchase has to be there, right? If we have the willingness but we do not have the funds to purchase it, we will not be able to generate any demand out of it. We'll be able to generate demand only when we have the willingness also and the ability to purchase as well. And after that first important point, the prices are also very much relevant. At a particular price, there may be different demand in comparison to another price. So at a particular price, at a given period of time, the ability and willingness to purchase is extremely important. That actually defines our demand. Alright, so after understanding the meaning, the core meaning of demand and the credentials on which demand is dependent, that is the price and the time period, we'll be moving forward to looking at the factors which help determine demand. Now, what are the factors which help you determine demand? First and the most important factor is the price of the commodity. There is a generic understanding that higher the price, lower the quantity we would like to demand. There is an inverse relationship between the price and the demand, because when the price goes up, our purchasing power goes down, because of which we prefer to purchase less of that good. So one factor which is definitely going to influence the demand is going to be the price of that good. Apart from that, we have the price of the related commodities. Now, what do we mean by this related commodities? That we need to understand. Now, when we are talking about the related commodities, we have two things in mind. One is basically the substitute goods, and the second is basically the complementary goods. Now, what is the difference between substitute goods and complementary goods? There is a very fine line between the two. Whenever two goods have the capacity to substitute each other, like you go to a shopkeeper and tell that person, I want to have Coke. That person tells you, we don't have Coke, we have Pepsi. 90% of the people may be okay with that statement and they'll say, okay, I'll buy Pepsi then. Because Coke and Pepsi have the tendency to substitute each other. Unless and until you are a very big fan of Coke, you will be fine with taking Pepsi as well. Right? Because they have the capacity to substitute each other. Therefore, they are related to each other. They have a relationship there, which is the substitution capacity to substitute each other. Hi Jatin, how are you doing? The second kind of good is basically the complementary good. Now, what are complementary goods? Which complement each other. Like if we are buying butter, we would not be buying it unless and until we want to have it with something. It can be a bread, it can be chapati. So it can be anything which is there to complement that butter. Nobody is going to have that butter raw. There can be exceptions, but generally speaking, we need something to complement this butter to have it. Therefore, there's something, for example, bread is complementary in nature to butter. So they complement each other and therefore they are related to each other. That is the second point. The third point is basically the income of the consumer. Of course, your income will determine your demand, right? And whenever we are talking about income, in terms of income, there can be two types of goods. Like in case of related commodities, there were substitutes and complementary goods. In case of income, there can be two categories of goods. One can be the normal good, and second can be the inferior good. Now, what is the difference between normal good and inferior good? Can you tell me? Okay, Ujjwal. So, basically, I take classes on Plus platform, and the classes are primarily held on Mondays and Fridays, and the class timing is basically from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. and 4:45 to 6:15 p.m. So this is the class timing on Plus platform where I'm covering business economics right now. And by January end, I think I'll be able to complete business economics, and in February, I'm planning to take up your business and commercial knowledge subject also, which I'll be able to complete by March 10th. So that is particularly the schedule we are going to be following. So 2 days a week, 3 hours per day, you need to give it, and we'll be covering whole of your business economics, a lot of practice material, plus mocks, plus conceptual clarity with respect to every important point, graph and formula which are part of your syllabus, and ICI material also will be covering thoroughly in your classes. So that is going to be the schedule going forward. So you can check out this course on Plus platform as well. You can check out my profile. You'll get all the details. Okay. So coming back to our income of consumers. So whenever we're talking about the income of consumer, लाइव क्लासेस की बात करें तो यस यूट्यूब पे लाइव सेशंस चलते रहते हैं एंड वीकली बेसिस पे वंस अ वीक इस तरीके से होते हैं. अभी मेरी कुछ स्पेशल क्लासेस है वेंसडे को सेम टाइम पे. आई विल बी ऑन द स्पेशल क्लास ऑन अनअकैडमी ऐप. ठीक है, तो आप वो भी चेकआउट कर सकते हैं. उसमें मैं क्विज प्लान कर रही हूँ विद रिस्पेक्ट टू बिजनेस इकोनॉमिक्स, तो यू कैन डेफिनेटली बी पार्ट ऑफ इट ऑन वेंसडे. सो अगेन मंडे एंड फ्राइडे को मेरी जो क्लासेस रहती है उन्हीं दिनों पे 6:30 पे कुछ ना कुछ या तो आपका यूट्यूब लाइव सेशन रहता है या फिर कुछ ना कुछ स्पेशल क्लास रहती है आपके अनअकैडमी के प्लेटफॉर्म में. तो प्लस प्लेटफॉर्म पे भी हमारा कोर्स चल रहा है एंड special classes may be we are available on Unacademy and here on YouTube live also. Alright, so that was about my schedule. You can check out my profile on Unacademy app to know more. Now talking about the income of the consumers, we have two types of goods when it comes to the income of the consumer. One is the normal good and the other is the inferior good. When we are talking about the normal good is something whose demand goes up when our income goes up, right? And inferior good is the one wherein the demand goes down when the income goes up, right? Like for example, we were using some phone of let's say Redmi, something like that, and then the income increased. And now we are purchasing something like maybe Apple product. So now Apple product, which maybe was out of budget for us, now it is in the budget, and that becomes our normal good. Whereas when you're talking about this Redmi phone, that we were purchasing, now we are not purchasing. So it has become inferior for us, and that Apple phone has become superior for us or normal for us, right? Now this is a very subjective thing. छोटी छोटी income rise भी होती है, so we tend to change the product quantum that we are purchasing, and जिसकी हम quantity बढ़ा देते हैं that is a normal, and जिसकी quantity हम कम कर देते हैं that is an inferior good. ठीक है, so that is the same. Apart from that, of course, our price determines the demand. The price of the related goods also determine the demand. The income of the consumer also determine the demand. Apart from that, our taste and preferences also determine the demand. Sometimes the price may be high, but the taste, we have a preference for that product, we have a taste for that product, because of which we are even ready to pay a higher price. What's bad in it? If we have the willingness and the ability to pay for it, we can be a little irrational and go as per our taste and preferences also, right? So in that case, even if the price is higher, we will purchase that good because we have the ability and the willingness, because we had the preference for that particular product. So this taste and preference also definitely influences our demand. Apart from that, what are our expectations for the future? Whatever we are expecting in the future, we act accordingly today. How? It's simple. See, what happens is, like in case of lockdown, when it happened, so many people were anticipating that everything would be locked down and even essentials would not be available to us. So in that case, everybody started to demand, started to buy more and more, stock it up. So that is referred to as stockpiling. So everybody was doing stockpiling, and because of which the demand went up before the lockdown. So that was just an expectation. So consumer definitely acts according to their expectations. If you are expecting product to get more expensive in the future, we'll purchase it today rather than tomorrow. Like you've seen the big lines in front of the petrol pumps just before the price hike has been announced. So that is actually influencing our demand, whatever the consumer is expecting for the future. Apart from this, there can be a lot of factors which can influence our demand. That can be the size of the population we are referring to. It can be the composition of the population. It can be the income and the distribution of the national income among the various people of the country. It can be the credit facility and the interest rate. Okay. Population type, educational background, and the composition of the population definitely is going to influence the kind of product and services that the population is buying. Nevertheless, what is the national income, how it is being distributed among the people, how much credit facility is available. Like for example, if you have the credit facility, everything gives the credit facility these days. Be it Amazon, be it Flipkart, be it any online store we talk about, be it any offline store we talk about, everywhere consumer is getting credit facility, as in EMI facilities available for every durable product, every electronic product. That increases the possibility that the demand may be created for even those who are not willing to pay for the whole amount at once. Right? So definitely consumer credit facility has the power to influence our demand. Hi Nisha, how are you doing? Alright, so to summarize, there are so many factors which can determine demand. But the most important of those factors is this price. This price has a great deal of power to influence the demand of the commodity apart from all these factors. Now, when we define all this in the form of an equation, in the form of a functional equation, it will be referred to as the demand curve. So demand curve is nothing demand as a function of all the factors that have the capability or capacity to influence the demand, be it the price, be it the price of the related good, be it the income, be it the taste and preferences, be it the population, be it the consumer expectation, be it anything else. So every factor that has the capacity to influence the demand will come under this function, which is going to influence our whole demand factor, right? And this is basically referred to as the demand function. Now, what is law of demand? This law of demand is an extremely important thing when it comes to demand theory. Actually, I am using ICI material and I have included all the key points from the ICI materials in order to create these notes. Also, in my classes on Plus platform, I cover all the ICI material along with the key points and all the questions which are covered by ICI, because according to me, the authority which is going to actually determine a paper is whatever material that authority is providing, that is the most crucial material to use. So I am using, don't worry about that. So let's talk about law of demand. So when we are talking about law of demand, it basically leads to the relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. So law of demand states the relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. What kind of relationship are we talking about? We are talking about an inverse relationship. That is, when the price goes up, the quantity goes down. When the price goes down, the quantity demanded goes up. Now there is a very big assumption in this law of demand. And what is it? It is referred to as ceteris paribus. What do we understand by this term ceteris paribus? Ceteris paribus basically means that all the factors, we study so many factors, so all the factors other than price are actually constant. All the factors other than price are constant, only and only price is moving for this demand. That is the whole point here of law of demand. Law of demand states an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded, given that the other factors influencing demand are constant, that is ceteris paribus. So that is law of demand. Now whenever we are plotting this relationship between price and demand in a schedule format, that is in a tabular format, it is referred to as demand schedule. For example, let's say when the price was 5, the demand was 10 units. When the price went up to 8, the demand fell to maybe 8 units. When the price went up to maybe 10, the demand further went down to 5. So when we are just stating the various prices and the quantity demanded at various prices, this will be referred to as the demand schedule, which is basically representing a table comprising of the various prices and the quantity demanded. Law of demand being fulfilled, that is an inverse relationship being observed between the demand and the price. Okay, now once we have this table with us, we can actually plot it on a graph also, and that graphical representation will be referred to as the demand curve. So demand curve is nothing but a graphical representation of a demand schedule. How do we do that? It is very simple. We just need to plot our demand over the x-axis and the price over the y-axis, and then once we draw this inverse relationship between the two, once we plot the various points over this curve and join them, we get a downward sloping demand curve. So we all know that why demand curves are downward sloping. Demand curve is downward sloping because of this law of demand, which states an inverse relationship with price and quantity demanded. Right? Now, once we have like the various individual demands, like for example, if you're talking about a particular industry, let's say ice cream demand. So we have so many suppliers selling ice creams in the market. So we have individual demands for every supplier. And when we club the demand of all these suppliers, it is going to be referred to as market demand. And when we are doing the summation of all the demands at the various prices of the various suppliers in a tabular format, it will be referred to as a schedule. And once we place a graphical representation of the same, it will be referred to as a market demand curve. So both are important. Individual demand curve leads to the market demand curve. Therefore, without individual demand curve, market demand curve may be not possible. That is the importance of both of them. Now, after understanding what demand is, what law of demand is, and what a demand curve is, next topic that we'll be considering is the rationale of the law of demand. That is, we said that there is an inverse relationship between price and demand. Here, we'll be understanding the reasons why we said it. So the first reason for it is the law of diminishing marginal utility. Now, what is law of diminishing marginal utility? Law of diminishing marginal utility states that as we consume more and more of a particular product, our satisfaction from additional consumption keeps on decreasing. That is a basic human nature. When we start consuming something, it gives us a lot of satisfaction. If you want to watch a movie, let's say you are interested in watching a movie, so you start with a movie, you watch your first movie, you're very satisfied, you're like, okay, I wanted to watch a movie, I watched the movie, that's great. Now you're like that I want to binge watch movies. So you watch a second movie. Second movie may not give you that much satisfaction. Third movie you may fall asleep. Some people may fall asleep in the first movie also. Okay, so that is because as we consume the more and more of a particular product, the satisfaction we get from additional consumption, that is the marginal satisfaction, marginal utility, that keeps on diminishing with additional consumption. This is basically law of diminishing marginal utility. Now, how is it related to law of demand? Let's understand. When we have a higher price, we are getting less satisfaction, because of which we'll be reducing our consumption. Like if we have a quantum that we are purchasing and the price goes up, we would not like to increase our quantum from there. We would rather decrease it because our purchasing power has gone down. So law of diminishing marginal utility definitely has an impact over law of demand. The second thing that has an impact on law of demand is the price effect. Now, what is the price effect? Let's understand. Price effect can be subdivided into two categories. One is the substitution effect and the other is the income effect. Now, what is the difference between the two? Let's try and understand. See, when the price of a particular good has fallen down, let's say Colgate, we used to purchase Colgate and we purchase Colgate and the price of Colgate goes down. So it is going to have two impacts. We, as the current consumer of Colgate, and the Colgate has become a lot cheap. And we know that we have to use it like for 6 months, 1 year. We can keep a stock of it. It's not coming with an expiry date. So our purchasing power has gone up. Why? Because the price has gone down. So when the price goes down, our purchasing power goes up. That is basically referred to as the income effect. Our income has not increased, but still our purchasing power has increased. Why? Because with the same budget, with the same income, we will be able to get more units of Colgate. Why? Because the Colgate price has gone down, it has become cheaper. So even with the same amount of income, we'll be purchasing more of it. We will have the capability to purchase more of it, which means that our purchasing power has increased. So existing customers will buy more because of this price effect. This is basically referred to as the income effect. That is, when the price has gone down, our quantity goes up because of our purchasing power going up. That is the first point, right? Second is the substitution effect. Like somebody who was consuming Pepsodent now sees that Colgate has got cheaper. So that person may think, okay, let me substitute my Pepsodent consumption with Colgate because Colgate has become cheaper. So many new people can enter, right? So that will also increase our quantity demanded. So by two things, our quantity demanded will increase if the price has fallen. One is going to be the current consumers consuming more because that product has become cheaper. And the second impact is going to be new consumers entering the market because the product has got cheaper. So these are the two primary reasons because of which the price effect is what it is. That is, the law of demand has a negative relationship between price and quantity because of the substitution effect and the income effect, which aggregated together can be referred to as the price effect. Understood? If you have any doubts, you can write down in the live chat and I'll answer it. Okay? So substitution effect and income effect leads to law of demand. Law of diminishing marginal utility also leads to law of demand. What else leads to law of demand? There can be, of course, arrival of new consumers, which can lead to increase in quantity demanded when the price goes down. It is related to substitution effect only. And the last point can be with respect to different uses. Let's take an example of milk. So let's say you consume milk and you have multiple uses of milk. You can drink it, you can make cheese out of it, you can make butter out of it, you can make ghee out of it, you can make paneer out of it, and there are multiple things that you can do with it. You can make lassi. So many things can be done with milk. In case the price of milk goes up, you can forego some of its uses which are not essential, like probably lassi or ghee or butter or paneer. You can forego few of the things which are not very essential to you and just focus upon the main use of milk, that is drinking. So in such a case, there is a possibility that if the price has gone up, you will consume less of it by cutting down on the extra uses and focusing upon the main use of it. And because of which, the quantity demanded will go down. So price went up and the quantity demanded went down when we have multiple uses attached to a product. In case milk had only one use for us, that is to drink it, then if the price has gone up, that is the basic use which is attached to milk. So are we ready to forego that basic root use of milk? Maybe not, because of which quantity may not fall down to that extent. But if we have multiple uses of milk, dahi can also be another use of milk. So if we have other uses of milk, then definitely we can cut the extra uses, not non-essential uses of this product, and just focus upon the main use, and that is how we can reduce our quantity when the price goes up. That also leads to law of demand, that is the negative relationship between price and demand. Alright, so these are the four primary factors which contribute to the law of demand. Now, are there any exceptions? Are there any such situations wherein the law of demand may not abide? That is, the negative relationship between price and demand are not being satisfied, and that happens all the time. Like if we talk in practical terms, there are so many situations in which we lie wherein this negative relationship between the price and the quantity is not being observed. There can be a lot of practical exceptional situations where the law of demand is being defeated. Let's go through a few of such situations. One situation can be with respect to the conspicuous goods. Now, what are conspicuous goods? Goods with a lot of snob appeal or prestige value. Like the goods we buy to show off. Like somebody is not an Apple fan, but he buys the Apple products just to show off to his friend circle of family. Like, this is what I own. That is a prestige issue. Now, in that case, higher the price of that product, the better show off can be made. So in that case, if a person's intent to purchase a good is to show it off, that person would like to have an expensive thing with him. Like it can be an expensive car, an expensive watch, expensive clothes, what brand you wear. So the higher the price, the better show off can be made, and therefore law of demand is not being taken care of. You're not going to wait the price to fall down and then you buy it. It's in fashion, so you want to buy it, show it off as soon as you can. So law of demand is defeated there and then. Then there can be some given good examples. Like what are given goods? It is a very simple scenario where we said that the price effect is a combination of substitution and income effect, right? So we said that the price effect is a combination of substitution and income effect. So if the price has gone down, the quantity will go up because people will substitute to this product and the quantity will go up, and people purchasing power will also go up, because of which more quantity will be produced, will be consumed. Now here, a very crucial point is that whenever we talk in terms of income, I just told a few minutes ago also that whenever we are talking in terms of income effect, there can be two categories of goods that can be there. One is the normal good and the other is the inferior good, right? So one can be the normal good, other can be the inferior good. Now normal good is the case when the income goes up or the purchasing power goes up, we tend to consume more. In case of inferior goods, when the purchasing power goes up, the quantity demanded reduces. So if this is the case of inferior good, so in case of an inferior good, when the price goes down, substitution effect will lead to increase in quantity, but the income effect will lead to decrease in quantity, right? So this is the case with an inferior good. So given good is nothing but an inferior good, right? Now here also one important point left is that we said that the quantity is going to increase because of substitution effect and quantity is going to decrease because of the income effect, because it's an inferior good. Here, what is more powerful, this increase in quantity or this decrease in quantity? That is ultimately going to define whether the total effect is going to increase in quantity or decrease in quantity. In case this increase in quantity effect is more than the quantity decrease, then overall what is going to happen? Substitution effect led to increase in quantity. This effect also led to increase in quantity, and overall the price increase has led to increase in quantity. Therefore, law of demand is respected for. But only in this scenario where it is a case of inferior good and the impact of this is huge, right? So the impact for this thing was bigger, and since the impact for this thing is bigger, I don't know why this is not picking up. So when the impact for this thing was bigger, overall even when the price has gone down, the quantity is going to go down. So given good is nothing but an example of inferior good, an extreme case of inferior good where the quantity decrease due to the income effect is greater than the quantity increase due to the substitution effect, because of which even if the prices have gone down, the quantity has also gone down. I hope this given good concept is clear. How to complete BCK for Jan 21? So for Jan 21 BCK, I would suggest that if you're starting with the course now, then you should focus upon the concepts and practice them a lot. And for that, you can firstly refer to the ICI material, refer to the practice material given by ICI, attempt a lot of mocks, and try to complete the content from the ICI material and just practice. That would be the strategy I would recommend to you, Rupinder. Okay, so in case of these given goods or conspicuous goods, the law of demand may be not respected for. Apart from this, if we are expecting the future prices to go up, then also, even if the prices are going up now, but they are expected to go up even further in the future, then even if the prices are going up now, we will be ready to purchase because we know that they will become even more expensive in the future. So definitely our future expectation about the prices influence our current demand as well. And of course, sometimes we are just being irrational. Whenever we are purchasing something, then whenever you go for shopping, you don't keep yourself, you're not constantly thinking that, okay, the price will fall, I'll buy this. What if the price does not fall? And moreover, you can have your taste and preferences, and you can, pamper yourself, and you can be a little irrational and purchase something which was expensive, but you are going to purchase it just because you want to purchase it, right? So sometimes you don't need any bigger reason than your instinct that you want to buy it. So definitely, there also, you're not going to think about the law of demand. You're not going to think about the law of demand even in the case of necessity. If something is a necessary, like some food product, necessary food product or some medicine which you have to buy, that means you have to buy. Even if it is being available at a very high price, but you don't have any option and you have to buy it, right? Apart from that, there can be speculative goods as well. Now, speculative goods like stocks. If a stock is in uptrend, that is going up, its price is going up, it is going to give us good returns when the price is going up, right? So in that case, even if the prices are going up, you will be ready to buy it because you are expecting the prices to go up even further. So that is riding the wave concept in stock market. And in case you want to learn more about stock market, how to make money from it, then you can check out my YouTube channel also in the name of NAC Backers. And you can think about subscribing to it as well if you're interested in this field, from the beginner level to the various advanced levels. Alright, so this brings us to the end of the exceptions towards the demand curve. Now we'll be focusing upon some other concepts. Now, let's say we have a demand curve and the demand curve is downward sloping. There can be changes in the factors determining demand, which is going to lead to some changes in the demand curve as well. Let's say, for example, we were at this point wherein this is the price and this is the quantity, and we move to another point on the demand curve where the price has gone down and the quantity has gone up. So when we move from A point to B point, it is basically referred to movement along the curve. It can be a downward movement also, it can be an upward movement also. why does this movement along the curve happen? The movement along the curve happens because of primarily the change in price. अगर हमारे गुड का प्राइस चेंज करता है तभी हम इस डिमांड कर्व में अप एंड डाउन मूव करते हैं. ठीक है, दैट इज द फर्स्ट थिंग. Secondly, what can be the possible movements? So there can be two possible movements for the same. One is going to be with respect to expansion and the second is going to be with respect to contraction. ठीक है, तो दो तरीके से हमारा यहाँ पर हो सकता है, कॉन्ट्रैक्शन हो सकता है, एक्सपेंशन हो सकता है. अगर प्राइस कम होने से the price is fallen, the demand can increase. That increase in demand will lead to such a movement which happened here also. This movement is basically referred to as the expansion. So this is basically referred to expansion where the price goes down, the quantity demand goes up and we move from point A to B. Let's take an example of contraction also. What happens under contraction? Let's find out. So in case of contraction, what will happen? Let's say we were on point A where the price is this and the quantity is this, and then we move to point B wherein the price has gone up, and because the price has gone up and we respect the law of demand, the quantity has gone down. So the price gone up, the quantity has gone down, and we have moved from point A to point B, and therefore this movement from point A to point B is basically referred to as what? Contraction. So contraction is nothing but decrease in quantity because of increase in price. Expansion is nothing but increase in quantity because the price has decreased. And since it's a movement along the curve, therefore it is referred to as the expansion along the demand curve or contraction along the demand curve. Okay, so this is about expansion and contraction. But this expansion and contraction, you must remember, depends only upon our own price. It totally depends upon our own price. If there are any other factors other than our own price which are determining our demand, then it will not be referred to as expansion or contraction. It will be referred to as increase or decrease in demand. So that will be referred to as increase or decrease in demand, which leads to a shift in the demand curve. Right now we were talking about movement. This was about the movement along the curve. This is about the shift in the curve. So like for example, this was our original demand curve. So we have shifted from this demand curve to this demand curve, right? Or we were on this demand curve and we have shifted from there to this demand curve. So anything can happen from there, right? So why this thing happens? Let's understand that this thing happens because the price has not changed. So we were onto this price and the price has not changed. Still, we have moved from this level of demand to this level of demand. So even when our own price is constant, the demand increases. That can happen only when there is a shift in this demand curve. Likewise, here also, our price has not changed. We are onto the same price, but still we were having this much amount of consumption. Now we are having this much amount of consumption. That is, the quantity has decreased at the same level of price. This can happen only when there is a leftward shift in the demand curve. So in case of leftward shift in the demand curve, there is a decrease in demand. In case of a rightward shift in the demand curve, there is an increase in demand. The own price is constant. So what is leading to this change? Other factors we studied, like the price of the related good, the income, the taste and preferences, consumer expectation, the population, etc. All those factors are also influencing our demand. Law of demand assumes that we are just talking about the price and the demand, keeping other factors constant, that is ceteris paribus. That is a one perspective, one viewpoint. But when we change that viewpoint and focus upon the other factors also that are going to influence the demand, that leads to a shift in the demand curve. In case the impact is positive, leading to an increase in demand, it is going to lead to a rightward shift in the demand curve. In case the impact of these other factors we are talking about is negative, that leads to decrease in the demand, which is going to lead to a leftward shift in the demand curve. So the movement can be of four types. One is expansion, which is that the quantity has gone up because the price has gone down. Two, contraction, that the quantity has fallen because the price has risen. Three is the rightward shift in the demand curve, and four is the leftward shift in the demand curve. The reasons are very similar. 1 and 2, that is expansion, contraction is because of the price, and shift leftward or rightward is due to factors other than price being constant. Okay, so we've studied all this stuff, we've compared the movement and the shift thing, and then comes the concept of elasticity of demand. Now it is very convenient to say that the demand will go up in case price goes down, but now we want to know the degree as to how much the demand goes up when the price goes down, how responsive the demand, the quantity is towards the change in price. If we want to know that, that is basically referred to as the elasticity of demand. That is basically the responsiveness of change of demand due to the change in price. It can be of various categories like elasticity of demand, elasticity of income, elasticity of cross price elasticity. It can be advertisement elasticity also. So we have all that in syllabus, but for now, since we have limited time left for this live session, we'll be covering this price elasticity of demand for today. So it is basically the percentage change in the quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in the price, other things remaining equal. Now this is very important, that when we are talking about price elasticity, other things are equal, that is, they are not changing. So the simple formula for price elasticity becomes percentage change in quantity demanded upon the percentage change in price. Now if I have to simplify it further, because there can be a situation that we are not given the question in terms of this percentage change, rather in something other than percentage change. So in that case, we need to simplify this formula further. In order to simplify this formula further, what we can do is the change in quantity demanded by the original quantity upon change in price by the original price. So that is what we have taken. Now mathematically we can simplify this further. This can be stated as change in quantity demanded by the original quantity demanded into the original price by change in price. So this is what we have. We keep the changes together. So we have change in quantity demanded by change in price into the original price by original quantity demanded. So here we have two formulas. One is this formula, which can be used to calculate the price elasticity, and the second is this formula, for which we can use to calculate the price elasticity. Which formula to use will be dependent upon the type of question which you get in the exam, right? So if we have the information according to percentage change, then we are going to go according to that. If we have in terms of the original quantity and the change, we'll be using the same formula, right? So what all have we covered today? We talked about what demand is. That is the quantity we are demanding at a particular price at a particular period of time, which totally depends upon the willingness and the ability also. So we talked about demand. We talked about law of demand, which states a negative relationship between price and quantity. We talked about other than price factors also, like our taste and preferences, our income, and the price of the related goods and our consumer expectation, population size and everything, that can influence the demand, right? It can influence in a positive manner also and in a negative manner also. So we studied about them, right? We studied about the various factors which can influence demand. Apart from that, then we talked about the demand curve, which states the negative relationship between demand and price. Ceteris paribus, that is keeping every other thing constant. So keeping the other things constant, we can say that the price has a negative relationship between the demand and the price. And after that, we talked about the factors leading us to the demand function, leading us to the demand schedule and the demand curve. Then we talked about the market schedule, the market demand curve as well. And then we went forward to talk about the movement along the curve, which is due to the price change, which can lead to expansion or contraction. And then we talked about the shift, which can be rightward or leftward if it's a positive impact on the demand because of any other factor other than our price. It is going to lead to a rightward shift. If it's a negative change due to factor other than price, it's going to lead to leftward change. We talked about that, and then we talked about the degree of responsiveness of this change that we are talking about in terms of price elasticity, for which we studied the two formulas also. Okay, so I think that would be it for this live session. In case you like it, you can think about subscribing to my course on Plus platform, and you can check it out. You can check out my profile, Rythum Verma, on Unacademy, and check out my business economics course, which I've just started. And if you're planning to prepare for your May 21 exam, you can check out that course, and you can check out the other live sessions on YouTube and special classes as well, and you can check out my YouTube channel as well. Thanks for your time. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye, and all the very best for your exams and studies.